watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's top stories. The United States delivers $25 million in weapons and ammunition to the Lebanese army as of Washington's pledge to aid Lebanon in its combat against terrorists. French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius meets with Prime Minister Tamam Salam in Munich and says France will deliver weapons to the Lebanese military in 2 months. And the UN envoy to Yemen, Jamal Ben Ahmad, returns to the capital Sana'a for talks with politicians to find a way out of a deepening crisis caused by a Shia Houthi takeover. The United States has delivered a shipment of military vehicles, weapons, and ammunition to Lebanon as of Washington's pledge to aid the Lebanese military in its combat against terrorists. U.S. Ambassador to Lebanon David Hale presided over the delivery of the aid worth $25 million at the Beirut port. The shipment included over 70 M138 howitzers as well as 26 million rounds of ammunition, including small, medium, and heavy artillery rounds.
It's arrived here in Beirut port. Its value is $25 million of equipment. It's over 70 M138 howitzers and over 26 million rounds of ammunition and artillery of all shapes and sizes, including heavy artillery. The context of this, of course, is that Lebanon today has become the 5th largest recipient of U.S. foreign military assistance thanks to the generosity of the American people. That's number 5. Over $100 million last year and over $1 billion in the last 8 years. So we're very proud of this, and this is top-of-the-line equipment. This is the best that there is on the marketplace. It's what our soldiers use, and I know that in a matter of days is going to be what your brave soldiers are using in the battle to defeat terrorism and extremism that's pouring across the border from Syria. I have every confidence that with the right equipment, Lebanese soldiers and Lebanese army can defend Lebanon successfully. I have no doubt in my mind about that. And we're proud partners of this, of course, because this is a common enemy. And our support for you has been, and for the Army, has been swift, and it's been continuous. And we're going to continue with this until the job is done. I know that this is exactly what the Lebanese Army leadership has asked for, and it's exactly what the Lebanese Army needs in order to accomplish that goal. Well, thank you very much for coming out this morning.
Similarly, France will begin delivering weapons purchased with a $3 billion Saudi grant to the Lebanese military in 2 months. French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius has informed Prime Minister Tamam Salam that the first shipment of weapons will arrive to Lebanon in the first week of April. The Foreign Minister's comments were made during a meeting with the Prime Minister on the sidelines of a security conference in Munich. Salam also met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who expressed hope that dialogue between Lebanon's rival political factions will lead to positive changes in the country's political climate. The Russian Foreign Minister stressed Moscow's continued support for Lebanon in managing the mass influx of Syrian refugees, announcing that his country will send direct aid through the UNHCR. Salam also met with Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif earlier today and reportedly called on Tehran to assist in the election of a Lebanese president. Health Minister Wael Abu Fahoud has announced that he will not back down from calling on Lebanese doctors to adopt a unified prescription form. Last month, Abu Fahoud asked Walid Ahmad, the Director General of the Health Ministry, to make sure that all physicians adopted a unified prescription form. Stipulated in a law endorsed by Parliament in 2010, the form aims to better monitor the flow of medication and to serve as a legal document to prove consent between the doctor and the patient when an agreement is made to switch to generic drugs, which are usually cheaper than brand names. However, the Order of Physicians, which was tasked to print the form, refused to adopt the decision before the National Security Fund amends its laws. Lebanon is bracing for another crippling winter storm that threatens to dump heavy snow and freezing rain as temperatures are expected to plunge to low degrees. The storm Johan, coming from western Italy, will batter Lebanon this afternoon as rainy skies with thunderstorms and active winds are expected to dominate the weather, with temperatures taking a sharp drop and snowfall beginning at 1,500 meters above sea level. The UN envoy to Yemen, Jamal Ben Ahmad, has returned to Sana'a and resumed contact with major political players to find a way out of a deepening crisis caused by a Shia Houthi takeover. Ben Ahmad left suddenly for Saudi Arabia last week, where he is believed to have held consultations with visiting UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. He returned to Sana'a late on Saturday and has since held meetings with all the main political factions, including leaders of the ruling Revolutionary Committee set up by the Houthis. The Houthis remained defiant after staging a coup on Friday when they announced themselves as the country's new leaders. Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi defended the takeover, telling his followers it was a revolution. And coming up next, Inspirational Women Series 2015 kicks off with Maya Taro. Stay tuned. On to you, Yumna, for the exclusive.
Thank you, Linda. This is the 4th season of the Inspirational Women series, and kicking off Inspirational Women 2015 is Maya Taro, a social and civil activist with a particular interest in corporate social responsibility, known as CSR, sustainability and development. Maya co-founded Food Blessed, a local hunger relief initiative that works with restaurants and businesses to use their surplus to deliver to those in need. Take a look.
If you have a roof over your head, a place to sleep, clothes on you, and food in your stomach, then you are richer than 75% of the rest of the world. On average, 12.7% of the people in the Arab region are hungry. In Lebanon, 2 out of 5 are living under poverty. Huge amounts of food are being thrown away after almost every event. What we do, we partner with restaurants and catering companies who can either provide us with their surplus food, monthly meal vouchers, a ready-to-eat meal, or contribute to our food fund. This fund can buy Moune items to prepare Moune packages.
For all our viewers here, we have to explain what Moune is. Welcome, Maya Taro. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Moune, just so people know, they're basically like food packages that you can use with surplus from different restaurants and businesses. What do you put in them usually?
So usually it's the basic necessities that every family or individual might use, like rice, wheat, burghul, milk powder, cheese, like dry cheese. So these kind of stuff. And we kind of learned from experience that a lot of people think that when they think of Moune, of cans, but from experience we now know that cans are not as effective. So you can eat a can of tuna, but it doesn't have this longer impact as a bag of rice.
Right.
So we kind of moved away from cans and now focus more on dry goods like rice and lentils and that kind of stuff.
And packed cheese and things of the sort.
Things that last.
We were talking a little bit before the interview, and you mentioned corporate social responsibility, CSR, a term that's still relatively unknown in Lebanon.
Yeah.
And you said Food Blessed started with this idea that you always felt like you needed to help out, and there was the CSR. So tell me a little bit about that link.
So Food Blessed was born out of a workshop by CSR Al-Ahli. And it was about what is corporate social responsibility, and at the end of it we were divided into groups, and each group had to find a social project, like a social need or a social problem, and try to tackle it through the lens of CSR or corporate social responsibility. And for those who don't know, CSR is like every corporation has a responsibility towards its community, including individuals and environment. So it's not like corporations should be just profit-driven. They also have a responsibility to give back to their communities where they operate. And one way of doing so is by working with other NGOs or creating their own projects. And we thought, why not use that to encourage them, especially companies that deal with food, to help those in need, especially to tackle food poverty, not just poverty.
Right, and you started it here. The NGO is entering its 3rd year now, and what I want to know is, so do you pick specific restaurants, and how do you strike a business deal with them? What do you say?
So initially we were focusing on just dealing with companies that deal with food, so specifically restaurants. And we found that a lot of them were hesitant or weren't as encouraged because a lot of them thought of, what if someone gets poisoned? No, we don't want to get into that. And in Lebanon, like, reputation is very important. So a lot of restaurants didn't like to be part of it. So we said, all right, don't donate yourself, but why not cook for those people? So a lot of them were more encouraged to do that.
Did a lot of them get on board? Were a lot of people?
Yeah,
do you want to name a few? Do you want to drop names?
Definitely. Our first and like most important sponsor is Zaatar and Zayed.
Yeah.
We've been working with them ever since we started off. And then now we have Tamar Buta and Al Diwan and Brochetta, and they cook for our soup kitchens, and a lot of volunteers also cook. And now we focus more, since Food Blessed, to define it, is a volunteer-driven, community-based nonprofit organization. So we operate through the community for the community. So, and everyone is a volunteer, including myself. So this is the very special, unique thing about Food Blessed.
They were zooming in on your HH. She's a superwoman in a lot of ways, and we're going to get to that in a moment. But HH stands for Hunger Hero. You want to tell me a little bit about this?
Yeah, so we thought that like in our culture, or how the media portrays superheroes, it's usually someone who got this special power from eating something or getting a spider bite or whatever. But in Food Blessed, we believe that ordinary people are heroes in disguise. And when you're working with Food Blessed or helping people in need by tackling food poverty or hunger, you're fighting hunger. So you're a hunger hero in disguise. So I have the cool t-shirt, which is cool, but a lot of people tackle hunger every day, but they don't know that they're doing a huge thing. And for example, I would see them as heroes, although they wouldn't know it.
The most important thing you told me, the thing that stayed with me, is you said that you always felt like your life had meaning in order to serve other people. And I know a lot of people say that and it's cliche, but
Right.
in your case, it is actually true. I sense you have the sense of fearlessness, courage to always walk the walk,
Yeah,
walk the
lead
talk.
by example, definitely.
You know, but what inspired you? Who inspired you growing up?
Well, at first I used to say like Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
Gandhi, but then when I really thought about the people who inspired me,
From your circle, from your
it would be definitely someone from your circle, or sometimes someone who you wouldn't even know.
Who inspired you?
So I couldn't say one person inspired me or there was a point in my life. I say every day is a day of inspiration, and now I'm lucky enough that I inspire others, and such is life. It's a circle. So one day you're inspired, the other day you're someone's inspiration. And I always say that for me, my life was always driven by, like I always felt that I needed to fill a specific need. And when I do that, sometimes I have to do it because I love doing it. And you have to compromise and sacrifice, but in that doing, you inspire others, and that is the most fulfilling feeling in the world. So a lot of people, I'm a full-time volunteer,
Yeah,
and some
so
people don't understand, how can you survive if you don't get money for what you do? And I always tell them that there's two types of richness. There's inner and outer. And I'm like a millionaire when it comes to inner richness.
Because you get to do what you love to do.
Definitely, and a lot of people will not understand that unless they volunteer and feel it for themselves, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, now I know why you're like so, why you think what you do is...
You're fulfilled is what you're saying.
And
the world's a big place. Lebanon is just a little dot on a big world, and people here tend to maybe sometimes forget that it is important.
And we define success by a bigger car, a better house, but I always say success is doing what you love, with what you have, where you are, and in that doing, trying to inspire others to do the same.
All right.
This is success to me, and I've been living it, and like when I say I lead by example, I specifically literally do it like by applying it to myself.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
It's
you for having
one step
me.
at a time. That was Maya Tero, the activist and the co-founder of Food Blessed. Back to you, Linda.
Thank you, Yumna. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. The United States delivers $25 million in weapons and ammunition to the Lebanese army as of Washington's pledge to aid Lebanon in its combat against terrorists. French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius meets with Prime Minister Tamam Salam in Munich and says France will deliver weapons to the Lebanese military in 2 months. And finally, the UN envoy to Yemen, Jamal Ben Ahmad, returns to Sana'a for talks with major political players to find a way out of a deepening crisis caused by a Shia Houthi takeover. That's it from Yumna Naufal and myself here at Future Television. Catch us again tomorrow, same time, for more of the world's top stories. Take care.